This story begins on a chilly morning in July of 2014. Darren needed a moment to himself. He was dealing with a lot. A bitter breakup, a job that drained his soul, and a city that seemed to close in tighter each day, leaving him gasping for quiet. So, one day he loaded up his truck, drove 6 hours deep into the Appalachian wilderness of northern Pennsylvania, and parked near a forgotten trailhead he had marked months prior. No cell signal, no people, just black-barked trees and the constant hush of wind weaving through the endless ridges. He pitched his tent in a rocky glade surrounded by towering hemlocks, close to the edge of an old forest that locals spoke of only with vague warnings, legends passed down from mining families and bootleggers. He welcomed the eerie quiet. The first night passed in peace, but by the second, Darren began to notice oddities. A coil of rope missing from his backpack, and a compass vanishing? That was strange, he thought. On the third night, his firewood stack had been knocked over, neatly. Too neatly. He chalked it up to animals, but then came the sounds. Just past midnight, long after the wind had died and the insects had gone silent, he heard it. Rhythmic chuffing far off in the trees, like steam being forced through ancient pistons. A distant whistle followed, hollow, warped, as if rising from the bottom of a mine shaft. Darren froze. He hadn't known there was a railroad anywhere nearby, but with Pennsylvania's crisscross of old freight lines and long abandoned tracks, it wasn't exactly impossible. Still, it didn't feel right. It was like the sound was too old to belong to anything real. Too out of place, like it had risen up from another time altogether. It made his skin crawl. When dawn came, Darren rose early, packed a light bag, and ventured out into the forest in the direction of the sound. If there were tracks nearby, he wanted to see them. He searched for over 2 hours, cutting through thick brush, climbing rocky outcrops, and circling low ridge lines. But he found nothing. No ties, no rusted steel, not even the disturbed earth of an old railbed. The forest was undisturbed, primeval. Whatever he'd heard that night didn't belong here. That unsettled him more than the sound itself. He tried to laugh it off, but the laughter died when he returned to camp and found something that made his blood run cold. His backup pair of boots, the one he'd packed and stored deep within his duffel, were now sitting upright in the middle of the clearing, soaked through, as if they had been wading through a river. Darren hadn't touched them. That evening, something scraped along the outside of his tent while he lay inside, too afraid to move. He screamed, unzipped the flap, and found nothing. Just dense fog rolling through the trees like breath from the earth itself. He decided he'd had enough. With dusk bleeding through the canopy, he strapped on a headlamp and set out. If someone was messing with him, he'd catch them. If it was something else, he would deal with that too. But the deeper he went, the thicker the fog became. It clung to his skin like cobwebs, distorting the landscape into a phantasmal dream. Tree trunks twisted like bent limbs, and shadows shifted, even though nothing moved. That was when he saw it, or rather, him. The old man. He sat alone on a moss-covered log, staring at nothing, his hands clasped in his lap. His clothes were dated, to say the least. Wool trousers, suspenders, and a torn flannel. His face was carved with deep lines, and his eyes were milky, like river stones.
You shouldn't be here,
The old man rasped without turning his head. Darren froze. Why? What's happening here? The old man nodded once, slow.
You hear the train, don't you?
Yes, Darren said. What the hell is it? The man inhaled sharply, as though it pained him to speak.
There was a railroad here, a long time ago. But when they logged these mountains and ran coal straight from the Earth's veins, something went wrong.
Darren stepped closer, compelled.
They cut too deep,
The man continued.
into places they shouldn't have been touched. Old stone burial sites. Lenape land. Ground was cursed. Or maybe just angry. Workers vanished. Bodies found. Burned, twisted, and blackened like they'd been struck by lightning. The conductor, he went mad. Drove the train straight into a ravine near Bear Hollow. No survivors.
Darren's stomach churned.
They buried the tracks and let the forest reclaim them. Thought that would end it. But the train never stopped. It rides at night, lost and blind, looking for passengers.
Just then a whistle drifted through the fog. Darren turned toward it, heart thudding. Did you hear it? He spun back. The old man was slumped forward, eyes open but glassy. He was dead. Darren stumbled back, his breath catching in his throat. The weight of the fog, the silence, the smell of rust in the air, it all crashed down at once. A cold, primal terror seized him. He was no longer just unsettled. He was terrified. A hiss of steam erupted behind him. He turned and saw lights through the fog, 2 yellow lanterns glowing like hungry eyes. The sound of wheels clattered and screeched, but there were no tracks beneath it. The train emerged from the mist, rusted and blackened, its front twisted like a screaming face. It moved soundlessly now, gliding across the forest floor. Frozen in terror, Darren backed away slowly, but the fog grew denser, wrapping around his legs like fetters. The whistle screamed again, and this time, it sounded closer. Darren turned to run. The last thing he saw before the fog swallowed him was the old man's corpse being dragged towards the train's open door by unseen hands. Weeks later, hikers stumbled across Darren's abandoned camp near Sproul State Forest. Everything was untouched, tent zipped, firewood stacked. A journal lay on the ground. The last page simply read, "The whistle is calling. It's almost here. It is here." They never found his body, but on still nights, some say you can still hear the chuffing of old Pennsy, a ghost wail of that whistle echoing through the Appalachians. If you're unlucky enough to be in those woods when the fog rolls, don't run, 'cause it's already too late.